So I recommend that at least we kind of carry on and do exactly what has sort of occurred thus far is just some basic updates. We'll hold those meeting minutes from August 18th to the next opportunity and see if we can't get that completed. Um,
Can we not do that by email? Approve it?
yeah, I suppose we could.
Seems like the
Yeah,
logical thing to do.
yeah, that's a good idea, Lida. Let me jot that down. I'll send those out again to the team, and we'll do exactly that. That sounds good. So at least we can move on with that.
Great.
Um, but yeah, we do have Keston, Sherry, and Mickey here with us. Is there anything that you all wanted to provide or talk about today?
Just the broken record, I'd sure like to hear the DFC talk about what they intend to do as money stops being the focus and whether they're going to continue and in some manner. Um, and that's, I think, particularly an issue since the services district does not want to be responsible for things like the town hall and be involved in that. So I'm
I
interested.
think like what guess what I've one of the things I've been trying to focus on is as having the county kind of take over some of those things because what's been the elephant in the room for so much time is that the DFC really lacks authority as a non-governmental agency to be able to um, it can support and it can write and it can like pursue larger grants, but not as the owning entity, right? And so that's really where like I I feel like I'm putting too much stock in this, would-be disaster recovery coordinator at the county level to be able to shepherd those things with Plumas County being in the lead. And maybe it's naive and maybe it's overly optimistic to think that the county would be in the lead in that regard, since we're an unincorporated set of communities from Warner Valley all the way through Indian Falls. So that's why, I mean, after 4+ years, it really would seem that the county, and it's not to say that they're not doing anything. I mean, we've talked extensively that, Tracy and team have worked, tirelessly to pursue the things that have been developed.
Mhm.
But now having a little bit more of that ownership, specifically with the town hall, the library, and the sheriff's substation, would be great.
Right.
Um, but I'm this month when that person is onboarded is supposed to be like that next sort of transition to be able to help with that onboarding process and not do a full turnover, but at least kind of like a warm start with that person in order to so that person's not starting from scratch, then can try to move some of these larger projects forward.
So I guess the question though that I have is, so what is there a role, or what role do you see for the collaborative in the future?
Thoughts, team?
Have you considered being a 501c3 nonprofit separate from North Valley Community Foundation? Has the DFC considered that at all?
We talked about it early on, and I believe decided that that was not what we wanted to do.
Mhm.
And I don't know that. Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure what function we can serve without going that route, without becoming a more formal organization.
I mean, speaking as a volunteer, I don't like if it winds up, right? We've almost got no money in the bank, right? Sure, some might come back, but some might not come back, But a lot of our work so far has been about trying to spend down this money, this $3 million, and we've done like a good job doing that, I think. So anyway, but that's been our focus so far. And I don't know, I, I don't like, I don't know if we all have enough energy to do stuff that's like not with a load of money behind us, you know? And if that's the case, then I don't know. There's plenty of other non-profits that you can donate your time to and stuff like that. Like if the DFC, in my opinion, if the DFC is kind of like evaporates, you know, as it's done its job. You know, we took the 3 million, we invested it wisely, we did it with lots of accountability and public blah blah. You know, we did a good job. You know, done. You know, move on. You got your projects, like whatever. There's other things. I mean, for me, that would be my default thinking about how we're going to wind it up, is that we wind it up and we move on, and there's other things you can volunteer for. There's a housing council, there's this, there's that, you know, whatever. There's lots of other non-profits, you know, would be my intent. I mean, my default thinking about what we do, because we're almost like Patrick's almost done, the fund's almost done. Should we just be almost done, you know?
What if, I mean, and I've been thinking about this a lot lately, especially since the county budget meetings and they had mentioned that they did not have any plans for Dixie Fire recovery in 25 or 26.
Wow.
And recovery seems a little discouraging without the DFC. So I'm just kind of, what if the county does not step up to this task of recovery without?
Yeah, and that's a good point, Michaela. And I would say then it's incumbent upon all of us to demand it, right? I mean, that's what statutorily, that's what our government's there to provide, and that's what they are. I mean, they have responsibilities as a county government, and if they're not providing those, then we have to, we have to bring that up, and that's been a problem for a while. And I don't know that it's in the space of a nonprofit once again to lead that effort when we have I think it's the space for the nonprofit to support and to supplement what our municipal and local governments are able to do. That's an opinion. And I don't know what also having another nonprofit in the space does that the ones that exist aren't able to do. And maybe it's, maybe there's more value in reinforcing the efforts of so many that we do currently have in the space. That are able to sustain their membership and their contributions for decades to come, especially when maybe we are turning more from less fire recovery and just community recovery. And so then sometimes the lines get blurred as to what is specifically something that is a direct or indirect impact from the Dixie Fire, or these things that are still kind of community development pieces that existed well before the fire that people sometimes would like the attention put towards. And again, those are questions that I don't necessarily have I don't have answers to, but it's something to think about. Or as the DFC does go away, maybe there's like an IVC, right? Like an Indian Valley Collaborative, where the existing organizations that we have are sort of on a contributing council, if you will, that continue to address fire recovery issues, but then also have a little bit more flexibility to move beyond fire recovery and think about community overall. Maybe that's the next piece.
And we had something like that before. We had an Indian Valley collaborative that met at Roundhouse Council once a month, and different organizations would come and share what they were doing. There was somebody there from the paper who would write articles, and then it was kind of like, so we wouldn't recreate the wheel. Oh, you're doing that. Oh, I don't need to do that. Or maybe we can help you do that. That kind of thing. Just communicating with each other.
I like, Patrick, what you said about an organization that supports what the county's doing. I I don't see the county stepping up and leading us into recovery and if you look at Greenville, we have a long way to go to recover. Sounds like Warner Valley has lots to do to recover, and certainly Indian Falls and Canyon Dam do.
Mm.
We didn't have any money in the beginning. We didn't know there was going to be any money. It was just local people and organizations trying to figure out how to recover from the fire, which we've done to a degree, but we're nowhere near finished with that. Seems to me that some kind of organization that continues to at least talk about and hopefully maybe provide some guidance for the county or help support the county and at the same time sort of hold the county accountable. Individually, I can go talk to the supervisors, but as a recognized group, I think we have a better chance of actually making things happen.
I
So
agree.
Wait, hold on. Isn't there
Yeah, I mean that's all very valid, Kest. And so, at the end of the day, there's nothing that's really like, completely disbanded from this group right here. The fixation of the funding has been that. I mean, it has been the sort of the mandate to continue to try to get these funds out the door, not in a frivolous way, but in a way that supports back again to the other sort of hub and spoke method of the other community organizations that are doing their fire recovery work, and to be able to, as the DA has put it, contribute money to the community good or the common good. So, with that now, like you said, like even in the beginning there wasn't money. So what did that look like? And I think, the environment was different, obviously, because it was more immediate relief that was required in those early months and even the first year plus. And so now as we really do look at the long term, I think, yeah, I mean, it's definitely, I think having some type of like community voice to continue to help encourage and not always just, be there to criticize those efforts of the county, but to encourage those efforts of the county and to support what they're trying to do. Um, so these are the types of things that I feel strongly about providing to that long-term recovery coordinator at the county level, so that it is something that is still that person should have a channel into this community. And if it stays like this, right, if it's a core group of individuals, or if it's sort of a contingent, a contributing roundtable, if you will, of it could be like Marcia, like you were just saying, like something that with regard to the Roundhouse Council, and just having a contributor that works that way, to be able to be that channel. Those are all things that maybe we can discuss in the future.
I have a question. So there
Yeah.
was like 25 million or 23 million, like a load of money, right? There was like the county's has got like to spend on housing or something like that. And it was but all they spent is like 5 grand on cats or something like that. Anyway, that was like the story for a long time.
No,
And
no, do you want the numbers, Matt?
yeah, but my
I think
question.
you've got a couple different values and funds kind of jumbled up there.
Well, no, okay, I think I do, but just my question is that do we think that they have plans to spend the money responsibly, or do we think that that's somehow going to leak away into other things like that? That's kind of like, but yeah, explain the structure of their current plans, but is it credible? Like, do we have to be concerned as a community that this money that was supposed to be spent may not be spent responsibly like that? Is that something that which could be like a responsibility of some kind of group to see this money spent in the right way? But sorry, please, Patrick, go ahead.
Yeah, no, it's all right. So, I mean, I think so. There's roughly $10 million. 7.8 was provided by PG&E. This is the county's settlement. And then there's a delta there of 2+ million that has come in through insurance and other things. There was some FEMA money, et cetera. So, I believe Marty Neiman, who's the controller, she's provided a number of like tables and stats and figures at a couple meetings showing where this money exists. And then Tracy, most recently at the last community meeting, also had some excerpts from this. And you're absolutely right. So to date, out of that account, there's been $10,000 that was early on in the year 2023. $10,000 was provided for the feral cat trap, spay, and neuter program through Pause, I believe. Then nothing happened to that money, and that's kicked off a number of meetings from the former CAO and others, Tracy Ferguson included, talking about this money, and that went all the way into the summer of 2024. And then here we have this past year on June 6th, the supervisors laid out their principles and priorities around this money. And so right now, not a lot of that money has been set. Oh, and then there has been $1.5 million that has been identified to go to the Indian Valley Community Services District to support the safety center rebuild. So that was I don't know that that money has moved from the county to the IVCSD, but it's at least been identified to do so whenever that build becomes that they start to build, which is very soon, from what I understand. So the supervisors have been going through what they called their strategic planning on how best to utilize the rest of that money. And that's still where we are. There hasn't been a lot of movement on that. June was the meeting at the library here in Greenville. They did their own strategic workshop at the hospital annex in July, I believe. And I don't know that much moves has been, how many additional moves have been made since then? Now, when you talk about the $24 million for housing, there's a little bit less, and that's the money that was provided in the Community Development Block Grant Disaster Recovery. And there's a portion of that, that's what we were talking about. There's a portion of that that could be reallocated in a work plan amendment through Housing and Community Development that could help provide the Plymouth Housing Council is working on their build to rent model with Kelly and Hector out of Paradise. And it's that program that 3/4 of it would come from that Community Development Block Grant Disaster Recovery money that did not get utilized for the single family reconstruction. So the single family reconstruction was the up to $500,000 for a new house if you qualify. That program was used, but not to the degree. They were estimating anywhere between 20 and 23 houses. I think at the end of the day, they might get to about 10 of people that wanted to use the program and that were eligible to go all the way through it. So those are those pieces. Yeah, I mean, and those are often briefed at the Board of Supervisors meetings with the responsible parties that are responsible for overseeing those grants. Usually Tracy Ferguson. Some of it has been Rob Thorman, who's the Director of Public Works. Because of that CDBG-DR money, there's going to be about $2.5 million allocated to road resurfacing here in the burn scar. So that's just a kind of a quick around the world on it, Matt. So it does look like we've got Dax. Thank you, Dax, for calling in. And so with that, Dax, thanks for being on. We do. So let me just back up a little bit. Danny Steyer,
I'm muted. All right.
you're
I'm
here?
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. Lyda Scoggin. Gotcha. Shelby Lamb.
Here.
Thank you. Marcia Roby,
Here.
Matt Fogarty,
Yeah.
and Dax.
Here. Sorry I'm late.
No, thanks for coming on. May I have a motion to approve today's agenda?
I also move, Shelby.
I'll second it.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right.
Any opposed? Okay. And next item, approval of the August 18th, 2025 meeting minutes. May I have a motion, please?
I move to approve the August 18th.
I second it, Marcia.
Thank you both. Lida and Marcia, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Isn't that great? We're getting business out of the way. All right. Fantastic. Thank you. And then Danny, whenever you're ready, if you wanted to go over the treasurer's report that you sent out to us last week.
Yeah, actually, if you pull that up, as you can tell, that unfamiliar background, I'm not at my desk. I'm wandering around the Bay Area. So my report is basically that we had just, if you can look at the narrative, I think I kind of like to just go to that if you have that. But we had interest in September of $2,867 to bring our total inflow of $3,160,960.98. We had committed and actually got approved the Indian Valley water repair, and for $68,040, and Warner Valley, the Maidu Summit, for that burn chart work, so $108,194. So total grants approved for $2,554,969. And we had DFC website maintenance for July and August of $360. And with the total expenditures there of $264,860 of expenditures. And that brings our current balance we have on hand is $341,131.39 is the DFC balance. And of that, we have commitments for $304,620 is what our total commitments are. And based upon the actual outflows and the commitments that we have, we were committed to $3,124,449.59, which is 99% of what has come in. So we have those commitments out there. Yeah. So we only have 1% of the dollars that came in left to administer, but that shows that $36,511. But we have that other $300,000, which has been sitting there with the Roundhouse, the Rancheria, the Greenville Rancheria project is what it was. It's sitting there in that, so it could come back or not. So we have, we should say $336,511.39 yet to administer. So that's my report for September, as we wrap up September's accounting.
I have a question. This is actually a question for Patrick. So, Patrick, given your conversations with the Rancheria, do you think that it's like 50-50 chance that we get the 300K back? Do you think that's like 90% chance we give it to them? Like, what's your, what do you think?
Yeah, so I up to this point, any conversation with the representative Grace Bush from the Rancheria has been that they will need the money, the $1.2 million between North Valley Community Foundation and the DFC. 900,000 of that being a loan, and then 300,000 of it being the grant. What Grace has also indicated, though, what she said is that if they find out, right, that they have a windfall of a settlement, and that the $1.2 million that our organizations have contributed, if they don't need it, they're not going to use it, right? They're not just going to take the money to get better curtains and light fixtures and things like that. Like they're going to use what they need. And now what I have asked for of late is actual like expectations and to see between the Rancheria, us, and North Valley Community Foundation if we can actually put something in writing at this point of what all the parties are doing and what the responsibilities are because it has been 2 years. And a lot of just kind of asking and just sort of wondering. So for your all's planning purposes and for that of North Valley Community Foundation as well, to know how best to proceed, it'd be nice if the Rancheria has more concrete plans with regard to the timeline as to when they think they're going to break ground, what their what the bottom line is. Like what's the bid that they got for the construction project in the first place? 2 years ago, we were talking anywhere between 11 and $12 million. That was 2 years ago. So if we're just talking about some increases here, there, and everywhere, is it around 15 and 16 million? I don't know. So my understanding is that I think it was the month of September is where the Rancheria, they were soliciting bids for the overall construction. And then it was this month, October, that they were going to make that decision. So at least moving forward, if we know what their bottom line is, that would be helpful. And then, match that up a little bit with what they're expecting from any type of funding sources they have, PG&E, insurance, or anywhere else related. So, to your question, Matt, that's what it is. They would love to be able to use it. If they don't need it, they won't use it. And last week, I asked for to schedule a meeting so that we can actually define and articulate what this looks like over the next quarter. I think is reasonable. Give it about 3 months, and then have some conditions otherwise based off of that. So. Danny, thanks for your report. Yes, you have.
I kind of have to come up on the fiscal side of this, and I'm going, this dragging on and on about not using the money. It's been committed to. It hasn't gone out. We've got other parties that are in need, are willing to use the money, should be given the money to use. I think we should roll that ball and get an immediate response. And not drag things on.
Yep, I will convey that, Danny. Any other thoughts on that specific subject?
I know it's frustrating because it's been so long, but if it does happen, it's going to be a really important and valuable business for Greenville, which will help us, bring people in if they know that there's a good well, not hospital, but medical and dental and all that there. And of course the pharmacy. So, I mean, I really want it to happen. And it is.
Yeah.
it's
With the
just
closure of
so
Rite Aid,
important.
that pharmacy is even more necessary.
Yeah.
Just with so yeah, there's so many attributes to it. It just I think we just need to know more, right? It just because it's
Patrick, I'm not denying that it's not needed, but I'm just.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I didn't think you were, Danny. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just. We gotta we have other people out there that need help too.
Yeah.
I mean, the story's credible that it's taken a while for them to get the PG&E settlement or these other settlements. And then once you get the settlement, then you have an idea about what's your budget, and then you have to get the contractors. And any project, I mean, I've got a massive project myself. Everything takes like so much longer than you can imagine, and that's just current. I mean, I think that they're probably doing just what we would do in their shoes, like getting this and trying to get that money and pushing it forward this way and that way. Like for us, I mean, I think that it's important that Patrick's working with them and understanding the plan and all that stuff. But I think that we should be ready to like give them the money and be done with it. At the moment, it's this complicated thing about they're supposed to write something about, is that good enough? So what does that mean? Like, And even then, it's this like a loan thing that's, I don't even know if it's a loan actually, but I think it's a loan that might come back or something like that. Like the simplest thing I think would be for all that 1.2 million, just to be like, hey, give here to the Rancheria with the stipulation that it's got to be used on Greenville stuff. And with the assumption that they're going to be responsible with spending that money, and we'll just get a bigger pharmacy or another couple of surgery rooms or an ambulance in addition, whatever. That's just another part because the budget, because even if they say, like, even if this contractor says, oh, it's going to be $18 million, like things change, it's going to take 2 years to build that stuff, price of steel goes up, whatever, you need to do this, you need to do that, whatever, you need to put more beds. Like if they've got an extra 1.2 million and their budget is 18 million, it's so easy to use that money. Like I speak from experience, like, so I think that if we want to do this, then if Patrick can be satisfied that their plan is credible, but basically I think that we should be ready to be like, okay, here's the money, we trust you, build a hospital, like we trust you, whatever, like here's the money, because it's not just our 300 or yeah, I mean, or 600 or whatever. Yeah, it's like all the rest of this money with the 1.2 million. It's a lot of money. So my advice would be, if we can, here you go, like do good,
Okay.
Maybe.
Yeah,
Yep,
this is
that's
Dax
a
here.
different perspective, and something to keep in mind though is that back to the longevity of the money, to if it's able to come back and then push right back out to other groups that may benefit from it. It provides a little bit of flexibility for the communities to be able to, yes, have the facility that we hope, or that we want them to be able to meet all the needs for the community. But if that money can come back because they're able to make good on it, and yeah, there's just implications of how that can be repurposed in the long run for other groups and organizations. Dax, I think I cut you off. You had a
Yeah,
comment?
no, I was just gonna say I kind of agree with what Matt just said. I mean, I think the Rancheria is a worthy recipient of it. I'm sure they can put it to good use in one way or another. So yeah, just kind of agreeing with Matt there.
Okay. Thank you, Dax. Um, and again, as soon as I know more information, I'll definitely provide it to everybody, so that some concrete decisions can be made. And of course, our additional partners here with North Valley Community Foundation, as they have most of their fund now is committed to this. So they have their 2 cents, or in this case, 600,000 that they want to kind of deliberate on as well. Okay. So I touched on it a little bit before, but just the county long-term recovery coordinator. My understanding is that position, it has been hired, or it was days away from being hired. I think when both Tracy Ferguson and Kevin Goss spoke about it on the September 20th community meeting. So I'm sort of anxiously waiting to meet that individual and help out with the transition and onboarding process, to hopefully get after some of the things that we talked about at the beginning of the meeting today. I sent out some of the latest with regard to the Welcome Home Greenville campaign and the Plumas Housing Council. I sent that out to the steering committee again today just because there was some updated information. But Sherry and Kest, did you all wanted to talk about that at all, if you'd like? You don't have to, but it's over to you if you'd like to.
Unless there's something that you want to hear, I don't have any new information for you.
Okay. Well, just for the benefit of everyone here, so the house that was constructed by RRA Builders at 166 Hot Springs Road, here in Greenville, was made possible through a campaign of local community members. And the campaign, as it gets developed, will look like something like the quote unquote Welcome Home Greenville. But this is an opportunity to have reasonably priced homes available kind of right off the shelf. So this is a 3-bedroom, 2-bath home that's listed at 285.5, I think right now uh, with Cassie Barr. And yeah, it's a pretty exciting opportunity. There was a ribbon cutting 2 weeks ago, and then most recently there was an open house on Saturday, which I wouldn't lose faith, Kest and Sherry. I mean, it was a pretty busy Saturday, and so um, I know that you said that it's just a couple of folks stopped by, but I think there'd be some opportunities for people to get out and take a look at a nice home on Hot Springs Road.
And Cassie said, in this area, generally open houses don't draw people. It's when people want to look at a house, they come and they work with the real estate agent and they go buy a house. So
Yeah.
just isn't something that culturally she didn't expect a lot of people to show up.
Yeah, yeah. But I highly recommend driving by and taking a look at it right there in Hot Springs. And yeah, tell your friends.
Exactly. And if you want
Um,
to look at the inside, call me. I'll meet you there and you can see what it looks like.
But for anybody interested, I'll send out the additional. I think I think right now the Housing Council is looking at an October 29th, um, an October 29th meeting,
Meeting.
from 10 to 12, I believe. But the email that I sent you today has a whole bunch of information from their last meeting in September, and then some additional information around Welcome Home Greenville and their work with the Almanar Foundation. So please take a look at that when able. Okay, so right now we don't have any specific grants that have come our way. However, we do have a few that are more than likely going to come our way. And I think at our next meeting on the 20th, on October 20th, I'll probably have at least a couple teed up for you. So let me start off with there's two that the Indian Valley Innovation Hub have indicated that they want to submit. One is for the move-in program, which I know that we heard information about that about 2 months ago, the first week of August. Both Clint Cobley and Samantha Lenhart presented that information. All told, they were looking for $125,000 in total that would support this move-in initiative. If you recall, the basic purpose of the initiative is to incentivize folks from out of the area to move into the area with various everything from stipends and things of that nature to help with moving expenses, I think, to then also gift certificates or gift cards, things like that can be used as in county to entice their patronage of restaurants and stores and things like that. So the grant, as I understand it wouldn't be asking the DFC for the whole 125. It would be a portion of that. And I believe they were going to target a percentage of the would-be new residents to be in the burn scar area, potentially at a new home on Hot Springs Road. But that's one of them. The other grant that probably is not familiar yet because we haven't heard about it, but there's a proposal forthcoming. It would be an employment grant. So this would be specifically to businesses in the burn scarred area, and it would help offset some of their overhead around hiring new employees. Again, I think it would be I think it was 3,500 or maybe up to $5,000 that a business could access in order to help with their employment expenses. So that's another grant that would be coming from the Innovation Hub. So those are the two.
So that one would actually be up to, I believe, 7,500.
Oh, 70. That's right. You're right. That is Mickey. Thank you.
per job creation, with 5 jobs max for each individual business.
Okay. So that's another one, and that would be, I think, oh, that's right. That was around 225 overall, but a portion of that coming from the DFC. So that would be the overall phase one is, I think, close to $225,000 in its entirety. But the DFC would be one contributing member, not the only one. And that would be a phased approach, as I understand it.
It
Patrick?
would be 250,000 with 10% administrative costs
Okay.
to create 30 new jobs in the area.
Okay. There you go. Mickey, is there anything else that you'd like to share on that?
We have been working really hard on this one. We think that the economic development is one of those key factors to bring in people towards our area, whether it's through jobs or businesses. So we have been looking for the different funding opportunities that we may be eligible for a grant such as that.
Okay, great. So I think at least one of those you'll probably see on the 20th of October, if not both. But those are both coming from the Innovation Hub. The next proposal is from the Indian Valley Community Services District. They are going to submit a grant request for $25,000, and that's supposed to help with their public relations and community engagement personnel. So they're looking at, I guess, hiring somebody to help do that on their behalf. The goal is to increase community transparency and knowledge around what the CSD is doing, create more opportunities for their meeting, to access their meetings, and for the community to be engaged and get real-time factual information to hopefully assuage any concerns about the direction that the CSD is moving. So they're working on that, and that'll probably be available by the 20th as well. Yes, Matt, you have a hand up?
Yeah, I thought the CSD had loads of money. Is that right?
Yeah, that's a good question to ask them. I don't know. To be honest, I don't know what their finances are.
I thought
I
they
know.
$7 million or something like
That's
Yeah,
that's
money.
about what they said at their last the meeting in Taylorsville.
What was the dollar amount? I'm sorry.
I believe it was about 7 million, anywhere from 7 to 10 million.
Something like
Yeah,
that.
and I do know that they too are waiting on a PG&E settlement that they've not received, but I know that they're working on it. So I don't know what that would entail either. I mean, what that dollar amount might be. They haven't received that, but who knows what's going to happen in the next weeks and several months. So, but yeah, I mean that's a good question to ask. What other funding sources they have, but that's $25,000 that they will be requesting. The other grant, because I met with so in all of these cases, these are people that I've spoken to that have indicated that they're going to submit a grant. So I met with Clint last week, from representing the Indian Valley Innovation Hub. I've emailed and I've had a phone call with Jamie Little, who's the interim general manager of the Indian Valley Community Services District. And then this next group, the Greenville Fire Cats, I met with Mary Shiro and Kimberly Hunter, I think her last name is Kimberly. And so they have done all the necessary paperwork to become a standalone 501c3 organization. And they are working on a budget and a proposal for a grant of anywhere between, I think, $12,000 and $15,000 to continue to work on a feral cat initiative and also rehoming of live cats. So some of it would contribute towards potentially the trap, spay, and neuter events that they do twice a year, I think. And then the other portions would help with supplies and sheltering of cats that have been spayed and neutered that may need to be rehomed. So that's a portion of it as well. Have not seen the request come yet, but they've indicated that they will be applying. The next one, I spoke to Jane Brown, and she's the band teacher for a couple different band programs. She is working on a trip for our high school students. I think there's some elementary students involved as well, because it's a pretty large ensemble band program that she runs. But they are working on a trip to Disneyland. And I believe that they will perform there, as well as there's an educational component at Disneyland to some extent. The parameters of which I think come around like sound engineering and recording. So they'll have an opportunity as the band to go to a studio and learn about these processes. They are looking for funding for the trip and to help support it. I looked at this underneath this sort of the same umbrella as, say, like the Nature Made Day Camp. There was money that the DFC provided for youth programs in the Valley. And I bounced that off of Kim Dufour at North Valley Community Foundation, just to kind of make sure that this was still in keeping and with the kind of programmatic guidelines. And so, yeah, I mean, as we're looking at things that were directly or indirectly impacted by fire, the interruption in extracurricular activities at the school would be something that was directly impacted by the fire, and then an opportunity to build a more robust program, not only for with the work that Ms. Brown is doing, but also just the students involved in creating additional opportunities for them to look forward to. So they will be looking at a grant request as well. And I believe that that's going to be in the realm of about $12,000. Don't quote me on that yet. Still need to get a definite budget of what their expenses are, but I think that was the ballpark. And the last one is, I spoke a little bit about this before, the Community Development Block Grant disaster recovery money. So that money, our county, Plumas County, since they applied for that grant a few years back, and since it may be restructured, and it's really Tracy Ferguson has worked with Housing and Community Development on what is called a work plan amendment. And that work plan amendment is necessary because the scope of what those dollars are being used for is changing. So again, that money was supposed to be used for single family reconstruction. It's not going to be, and we're talking about approximately $8.5 million. So that money can be reallocated to help support the building of rental properties at multiple different sites in Plumas County, preponderance of which being here in the burn scar, whether it be Indian Falls or Greenville. So Plumas Rural Services is actually working on that initiative with HCD and in consultation with the Almanor Foundation. As you recall, back in December of 24, the Almanor Foundation and the Plumas Housing Council, they're the ones that first requested about $450,000 for that from the DFC. That was approved by the steering committee. So if this now, this program changes the way that it sounds like it's going to through HCD, that's a wholesale change of what you all were told almost a year ago and how that money was going to be used. So again, that's money that was supposed to go to the Almanor Foundation for that purpose. But it looks like the Almanor Foundation may not actually do anything with it. Not because they don't want to, it's just that looks like the baton is sort of being passed over to Plumas Rural Services because they want to be able to manage this housing program for decades to come. So if that does occur in the way that it's been proposed, that would require a kind of a wholesale change and vote from you all with regard to as to what to do with that money. And it would be Plumas Rural Services who would be requesting it as opposed to the Almanor Foundation. Yes, Matt.
So this question, so for housing entrepreneurs like Kest, will there be opportunities, do you think, for to take some of this, whatever the money left over and help I was
Mhm.
wondering. Like,
Yeah, so the crux there with this money and Kest did ask a couple times with regard to how the DFC might be able to use some of its dollars to contribute to the Welcome Home Greenville. And I'm not an expert on this, so don't take my word for it. I've asked multiple times how the charitable dollars that are with the DFC or North Valley Community Foundation can be contributed to a program like Kest's and Sherry's Welcome Home Greenville. And the crux is that it's going to an individual, potentially an individual or and even though it's not really like a for-profit business at this time, it's very difficult to kind of work around how that money can go to an individual or entity that is not another public entity, or that it's open to all hands. So like with the business signage grant, that's money that's supporting businesses, but it's open to any business in this area, right? Anybody can have access to it. And I'll keep trying to figure it out. It seems like the most workable solution is that if there's an independent investment fund, like a community investment fund, these are things that have been looked at favorably in the past by other like fire areas and other entities, that there is essentially another nonprofit, if you will, that operates a community investment fund where the money directly goes to community projects, whether that be housing, parks, streetlights, etc. The difficulty is that we don't have anything like that here. And not saying that we can't, right? But that would be another initiative to formulate and start, and would take some seed money. It could be the one thought that I had is the set aside the Community Development Corporation, which is the brand new 501(c)(3) organization that works alongside our Plymouth County Development Commission. This is the entity that's down on Main Street in Quincy. They do the Section 8 housing and the low income housing. The steering committee contributed $25,000 to them for the down payment assistance program. Do you remember that entity? Roger Diefendorf, who's now retired. Last year they started a nonprofit. It's different than the actual county and state run commission. They have the Plymouth County Development Corporation. The only thing I've been thinking of is that might be an entity that could do something like that, whereas like the money is given to them, they hold on to it, and then they work with an individual like Kest or Sherry to then build a house. It would just take some exploration on the legality and the financial arrangement around everything. Does that answer your question, Matt?
Yeah, I mean, Kirst, on your side, have you seen funding sources to replicate your build?
So there are community members that are interested in putting their money together and building more houses if this one will sell. But Patrick and other people and other foundations have looked at this and spent a lot of time trying to figure out how to do it. At this point, I think I've beat my head against that wall, and other people have tried to help and have not come up with a way to do that at this point. So unless somebody has some other way to do it, I think it's going to be community people who want to see houses built and are willing to put some money into it, knowing they'll get it back when the house sells. The rules around nonprofits, and especially the way these nonprofits are set up, are just not conducive to letting us use our money that way.
Yes, well said, Kest. And but Matt, to your point, it's not without further investigation that there's got to be something, right, that makes sense and that keeps everything, financially and legally responsible to be able to move forward. So it's definitely something to take a look at and not just take a look at, but actually investigate to the nth degree. And I've been meaning to follow up with Cindy Ramsey, who's now she's the new executive director. She took over for Roger Diefendorf to explore those opportunities with the nonprofit, but I have not followed up on that yet. So I will add that to the list. All right, so the next item there, remaining grant funding, right? So what I've just described to you is approximately five to six different funding opportunities. And what Danny described to you is about $36,000 left, right? So no decisions need to be made now. Nothing has to happen right now. The only thing that has to happen now is for your own independent thought and reflection on moving forward. What I owe you are some more fidelity on any money, any funding that could come back, meaning like the Rancheria money, even the complexity around this Almanor Foundation PRS thing, right? But if just ballparking the grants that I just talked to you, they're not even grants yet, they're ideas, right? Proposals. If we just add those up together, it's about $117,000 that's going to be that could potentially be requested between the Innovation Hub, the CSD, the Firecats, the high school band, really those. But as we know, there's about $36,000 left. So some of these are time driven, meaning that if the high school band piece, they're looking at a spring trip, right? So it may not necessarily, if that's something that you thought was something that the steering committee would like to contribute to, that could be something that could be backburnered a little bit because the urgency just isn't there. You know, the CSD, their communications, the communications or public relations individual. I think from their perspective, the sooner the better they have that person, you know, hired and in the seat. But I don't know, you know, so those are things to consider. But of course, if we can get a better answer on the Rancheria funding, then that changes the calculus significantly because there's just that much more money at stake that's available to be able to fund a variety of different things and then maybe not have to make prioritized choices. The North Valley Community Foundation, if I recall, their fund that they have available is it's comparable to ours. It's about $38,000. So again, back to funding these different things. If a grant request comes that the steering committee feels strongly about, but you don't want to put all your eggs in one basket, like say the last $36,000 to one grant request, it could be structured to the point where you'd say, well, we want to fund $10,000 of it with a request that North Valley Community Foundation also funds 10,000 to equal a total of 20,000. That's just an example. So that there's some of the fundings offset a little bit between the two separate funds that both the DFC and the North Valley Community Foundation have at their disposal to be able to kind of spread this out a little bit. So there's not too much of a chunk coming from one specific fund at one time. It's something to think about. So just to run those down again as you think about this and you refer back to your agenda, it's the Indian Valley Innovation Hub, but the move-in program and then also potential employment overhead grant here in Indian Valley Community Services District for a communication/public relations representative, the Greenville Firecats potentially, and then the high school band potentially. All right. The last item that I was going to cover with y'all is the Greenville campground. Continuing to discuss that with the Forest Service on what a renovation or really an enhancement of the campground would look like. I think I shared with you the last time we met is that it did get positive feedback from PG&E that the transformer that exists there and that could potentially be if the project were to move forward, there's a panel there that would provide electricity to up to 5 RV sites. That transformer is energized and could be utilized. So all that the electric infrastructure is there and could be used. Last week went out with the CSD and the Forest Service as they were turning off the water supply to the campground. So the main shutoff for that is over on Alta Camp Road, and then the the sort of the last little spur of the water line goes from Alta Camp to the campground towards Willow Lane. Bless you, Sherry. The the talking with Charles, who's the utilities manager, he said that that water line is it would be more than enough to provide for a shower house and running toilets at the campground. So right now there are 2 sets of vault toilets there that the Forest Service maintains throughout the year, or the season that they're open, which is really from May through the end of September. So if there was to be a shower house installed there, there would be enough water pressure to support that. I started looking at there's a company that does those types of facilities for state and federal parks, where they have different configurations, different designs, etc. Just to kind of get a ballpark estimate of what that would look like to work with the Forest Service and to see what type of funding they would need. The Forest Service may have some money for this, but probably not all of it. And so that's another consideration if this is something that could come to fruition, around how much, let's say that $300,000 loan to the Greenville Ranch area comes back, and in order to make this thing happen with the Forest Service, they need $65,000. Then you all would know what that looks like, and then could make decisions based off of the reality of trying to do a campground enhancement as a project to bolster more recreation and tourism in the valley here with those RV sites and hardened facilities. All right. Whew. I've been talking a lot. Yes, Matt.
So sorry, it's a question. So you're going to have to talk a little bit more. So can you talk a little bit about the potential money left over in the admin fund? And can you also talk about the 1,500 that I was talking to you about? I need $1,500 to do the design with an engineer for the entry signs, welcome signs to Crescent Mills. So anyway, that was something. If you could say some words about both of those, Patrick.
Yes, thank you, Matt. I completely forgot about that. So so 2 years ago, the summer of 23, the Dixie Fire Collaborative Steering Committee and North Valley Community Foundation, they created the Dixie Fire Coordinator Fund, right? So it took from both those, the NVCF fund and the DFC general fund, to create the fund that pays for my position, the coordinator fund. So the employment costs, the wages come out of that fund. The rent that up until September 30th, we paid for at the Indian Valley Professional Building, that came out of that fund. PG&E, utilities, etc. My ability to buy Post-it notes and paper clips and pens came out of that fund. But anyway, so in that fund, there's roughly $50,000 left. So I spoke to Kim on Thursday or Friday to see how easy. Said it's probably not necessary. I mean, that $50,000 that remains in that coordinator fund, I'm not using it for like office supply budget. There's just more money in there than is necessary. And also, even if I forecast my wages for like the next month or 6 weeks as I transition out of this role, there would be more than enough wages wise. So if and Danny, this is something we can talk about offline, but in working with NVCF, if 25 to 30,000 of that money is then put back into the Dixie Fire General Fund, then that opens up more funding opportunity for these forthcoming grants once we know a little bit more about that. So that's one thing. Thanks for the reminder on that, Matt. And then the other question, and this is something I'm trying to figure out. So Matt has a plan for signs coming and going, entering and exiting, however you want to phrase it, in Crescent Mills, right? As part of the streetscape, if you will, that's been designed there. And Plumas County Roads Department, Public Works, they can install speed limit signs that have the radar on them to potentially slow speeding traffic down through Crescent Mills, which speed limit there is 35 miles per hour. And on before and after, it's posted at 55 miles per hour. Highway 89 there, that's a Caltrans road, but Caltrans, they'll sign off on the encroachment permit, but they don't install those types of speed limit signs. So Matt, that's one part of this, is that correct? The planning?
Let me just let me explain. So there's two mini projects I'm working on there. One is the speed, whatever you're going 42 should be going 35 rate, I think. So that is I've got that. Public Works will be installing that, and Public Works has given a price of $13,000 to do that. And Tracy thinks that they can probably get that money from some kind of county fund. So I'm not talking about that for the DFC.
Okay.
Separately is like welcome to Crescent Mills. So that on both entrances will be like a sign, welcome to Crescent Mills. And I shared the design like a couple of years ago. Anyway, for that one, I'm not asking for the money for the sign. I'm asking for the money for the design, because we have to do the encroachment permit, we have to do the design, and it has to be stamped by an engineer. And then with that, with the design, then Public Works can say, okay, that's $8,000 or $5,000 or some other number, and then we can try and get that money. But the next step is to get the money to give to the engineers to do the design for this sign, because it has to be stamped.
That's right. Okay. I apologize about that. I got those two different projects crossed, and
They're right next to each other, so it's good. But so I'm looking for $1,500 to do the design, and I've got the engineer like lined up, ready to go.
So something that we can put onto the agenda on the October 20th meeting. So that is so since that's design plans that would be coming from an engineer, that's like a vendor expense. And that would be over to the steering committee, and also the North Valley Community Foundation to permit that being an expenditure as opposed to a grant. So Danny, if we received an invoice from a engineer that we're paying for those engineered plans as an expenditure from a vendor engineer would be the idea.
Yeah, the committee was set to sign off on that.
Yes,
Right.
yes.
But then I want to roll this back into, wasn't there we have plans for advertisements and such for businesses that was approved?
Yep, that was the $36,000 grant that went to the Indian Valley Chamber of Commerce.
Right, can any of that, is that all gone, or can some of that be used to help?
That's a good question.
It's a good idea. Yeah, I mean, there might be some money left in there. I'm not exactly sure. I think there's some money left in there, so maybe I can ask for that.
Yeah, I'll follow up as well, Matt.
Okay.
Okay, Pat,
Good.
taking it.
Yeah. Easy day. But anyway, on the issue of what's in the DFC coordinator fund, I think it's been a week since I looked, but I think it's around $48,000 or $50,000. So then what I'll put on the agenda for the 20th is to have a vote to move money from the coordinator fund back into the general fund. But I want to talk to Kim to figure out exactly what the right amount would be. I kind of arbitrarily threw out like 25 or 30, but it could even be more.
Right, and then they probably wanted to have a question, how much that goes to North Valley and how much would come to the DFC.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, because they both contributed.
Right.
Yep. Okay. Okay. There we go. So moving on to committee member updates. Lida, do you have anything overall for the team?
I said this at the beginning, but I'm not sure everybody was there, that we're waiting for in Warner Valley our burn permits. CAL FIRE came out and looked at the concept for the kilns and thought it was great. Very excited, but we can't do anything until we can get a burn permit. So we're waiting.
All right. Well, it'll happen. It'll
Yeah.
be moving along.
hopefully before the snow falls.
Yeah.
Marcia, do you have anything for the?
Patrick, have you heard anything from Daryl on the fire safe?
No. Oh, I didn't put it on the agenda. So I went last week to the Rebuild Paradise Foundation's
Yeah,
insurance forum.
yeah.
And I'm still working on my notes. I'll send that out to all of you probably tomorrow or the next day. Very informative, really good for like list of speakers and really interesting things that they're doing in Paradise. The leadoff individual was Victor Joseph, who's the COO and president of Mercury Insurance. No relation, by the way.
Yeah.
But anyway, he really it was really good. It was a real they structured all these as sort of like panel discussions, you know. And so it was really good just to kind of hear from him like the state of California insurance, you know. That was it was pretty interesting. But yeah, so he spoke the a representative from the town of Paradise, a woman by the name of Miss Chase, Colette Chase. She spoke at length about some of the retroactive things that they've done in Paradise around defensible space, and the municipal code that they passed and how they enforce municipal code around Zone Zero, which is definitely more stringent than I think would fly here in Plumas County, just based off of kind of what people do or don't want to do at their homes. But they've worked with IBHS, which is that insurance lab that I think I talked to you all about, that does kind of like testing on homes around like hurricane, tornado, fire damage, and they've got a whole lab where they just work on what the ember cast does to a home and what that Zone Zero can do. If you have a good Zone Zero, what that can do to the likelihood of your home making it through a fire. Yes, Lydia, you have your hand up?
I was just curious what their organization is at this point, apropos our beginning discussion. You know, what kind of organization is doing these projects and organizing?
Yeah, so
Whatever.
so there's a couple different nonprofits that still exist in the Paradise area. So there is the Campfire Collaborative, which is, you know, similar. They're the long-term recovery group. Now they are their own 501(c)(3) organization.
Yeah,
They were heavily their seed money came directly from North Valley Community Foundation, and then they've been able to manage that. One of the platforms that why they decided to keep existing was their disaster case management program. So that was sort of the principal program that the Campfire Collaborative maintained, and still maintains to today. So they have they're down below 100 cases, you know, families or individuals that are on disaster case management from the 2018 campfire. A couple years ago, they were still above 200, so they've been working on getting that list like lower and lower. And they, in at least January of 24, they were thinking about kind of wrapping up themselves, and they weren't really sure what to do. They were having the sort of same questions like, well, what do we do next? Why do we exist, and do we stay or go? Now, their collaborative, the way that it works is that they have like a rep from United Way. They have a rep from CHIP, which is another housing entity in Butte County. They have like contributing members of organizations. It's less about individuals as it is like actual additional nonprofit and aid organizations that contribute to their collaborative, that make them a collaborative. And then so one is internally what they work is the disaster case management program still. And then externally, their main reason for being there is really just to be a network to provide the infrastructure for a quarterly meeting of those different support and service entities, whether it be their the county voluntary organizations active in disaster, VOAD. That's one. United Way, Red Cross, and a few others. So that's why they still sort of maintain their existence. The Rebuild Paradise Foundation, they have focused more on different initiatives. So one initiative that they did for years was septic. They offered a septic grant. So that was one of the pieces that they did, is that they would do engineering and new septic systems, or at least a a reimbursement. So if you had you could apply for up to $5,000 for a septic system. What they've seemed to keep doing is they, at the different stages and phases of the rebuild in Paradise, they sort of pick another initiative to work on. So it was septic for a while. It was also overhead drone imagery for a while, helping people get better topographic imagery for rebuilding. And then now what they moved into is insurance, is how to help get more affordable insurance in the Paradise area. And that's what they're working on. Does that answer your question, Lana?
Yeah, thank you.
But yeah, so that was good. The town of Paradise, Colette Chase, she spoke. So Victor Joseph, Colette Chase. There was an individual from the IBHS. He spoke at length as well about what they do in terms of providing a certified home, a wildfire certified home, and how that helps with insurance. And yeah, but to answer your question, Marcia, I plan to get these notes together. I believe that there's a video recording of that entire forum that I was going to share with Daryl. And then yeah, just kind of see how I can support that effort. And if it's something that the Fire Safe Council does indeed want to get going. And if not, then maybe we just kind of go back to square one and see how we can do that internally.
Hey, thanks, Patrick.
Danny, anything for the team?
I think I covered the our stuff as far as finance and such, but the topic we're talking about comes up, and I'm quite interested in experiencing insurance and taxes, and understanding the reinstatement and offsets and such. And I'm not sure it's working the way that we were told. And I'm thinking of people that had houses as long as we did, and then it's getting hit with a 400% increase in taxes. Doesn't seem like it's working the way it was said it was going to be. So trying to get some clarification on that. If I don't know if any other people experiencing that, but you know, I got the AAA sent a thing for insurance and has all these mitigation things, and that's interesting. If we get the fire safe stuff going and a few other things, that would help from insurance. But taxes is one of those things that comes around and you can't do much about, or maybe you can do something about. Anyway.
So on the tax front, so there was an issue between there was state legislation. So there's Prop 8 and Prop 13 assessment of residential property taxes. Some houses were under Prop 8, some were under 13. And so in the 2008 financial crisis, certain properties around Plymouth County were lowered. And I'm going to get this backwards. I think underneath the Prop 8, it was basically kind of like a benefit in that during these hard economic times, if you will, we're going to reduce the property taxes by a degree that the county was allowed to do so at the time. My understanding of the issue is that then at a certain point, the whether it be the town, city, or county is then supposed to elevate those property taxes back up to the regular increase, the gradual increase of what the tax rate should be based off the market value of the area. Underneath Proposition 13, I think. I could be getting this wrong. But what Plymouth County did last year and into this year is that with homes that were sort of on this glide slope, so there was two different glide slopes. One, your taxes have been increasing at the rate that they were supposed to all while ever since 2008. And then the 2008 people, same thing, they were on this lower glide slope. But what unexpectedly in 1 year Plymouth County did is they took them from this lower glide slope and then they elevated them up to here. So in 1 year, you get a large percentage increase to get you back up to where, quote unquote, everybody else. I don't think it was everybody else. I think it was about another third of the county. And so that was shocking, right? Because it was like, well, where the heck did this come from? And the assessor's office had said, well, we put it on our website, and there was a lot of I mean, I think it was this time last year at the Board of Supervisors meeting, lots of obviously people that were concerned and upset because they would have benefited from at least like an envelope, like a mailer, something, a postcard that said, "Hey, check our website," some type of indication instead of just sort of getting the sticker shock of opening up your net, your tax increased, but not realizing why, like where did that come from? Why all of a sudden I've been paying X amount in taxes and then all of a sudden it skyrocketed overnight, literally. So that's one issue on the taxes. The assessor's office, Cindy Froget is our assessor. And right on the county website, Danny, I think they have information around this. So that's a good place to start. And then they've been because of the confusion, they've been fielding a lot of questions and comments over the last year on this issue. So by all means, recommend you follow up with that office for that.
Right.
And then on the insurance issue, Fire Safe Council and Firewise Communities. So on the Firewise front, and Marcia's been working extensively on this, and myself, at least in our area, myself and Julian Howell, we're going to be working on the Winds Valley Road Firewise community, and then there's a Pex Valley. But there was an individual there at this insurance forum, and she's actually works with the Butte Fire Safe Council, but she does a lot of the admin support for the Firewise communities. And so whether it be Butte County, Plymouth County, Los Angeles County, it doesn't matter which one, the Firewise communities are one of the more readily accessible and things that we all have influence and control over in order to help drive our insurance prices down by being a Firewise community and having it verified by your insurance company. That's it's a good step forward to try to like make your case to get that insurance discount. There's definitely more things that local governments are trying to impose in California to do that thing more stick than carrot, right? Is that and this idea of like sort of like when we were talking in the COVID years about like herd immunity, that like each neighborhood that has all these fire safe standards then provide a much more fire resistant area. That's the way that sort of the pendulum is swinging these days with a lot of different municipalities. So we'll see what takes shape here in the county. But yeah, it something that we can all do is try to adhere to some of the Firewise standards, and that might help us out a little.
Right. Awesome. Thanks.
Matt, anything for the team?
No, everything's going well. Please come by. The espresso machine was great. We should get an ice machine through. Hopefully, I'll get the equipment grant from the county. So with that, we'll get an ice machine. We've already got the soda machine, but it needs ice. So anyway, we should have a beer license in a couple of weeks' time. So please come by, have a cake, have an espresso, have a sandwich, and the hotel development's coming along real well as well. So
that's great. Well, again,
if any of you guys are on Facebook, then please follow the Crescent Store or the Crescent Hotel, because I put a lot of like little videos about the project and what we're doing.
Yeah, well, congratulations on your grand opening 2 weeks ago, and
thank you.
much continued success on the day-to-day operations. Dax, do you have anything for the team?
Yeah, I got an update on the Indian Falls water system. Just wanted to let you guys know that the construction has been completed on the spring box and the filter and disinfection system that was funded by the steering committee recently, and seems to be working well. The system's up and running as it should, and just again want to express my my thanks to all of you for funding that.
That's
Yay.
great, Dax.
Great news.
Great to hear.
Yeah.
All right. Yes, Michaela, I see your hand is up. Yeah.
Yeah, so I just wanted to jump on and give a little bit of an update myself. The Legion Hall has received their occupancy permit, so they are officially open to the public and to resume their normal activities. So that was an exciting update this last month. We are also working with the Feather River Land Trust to hopefully get some trees planted in the burn scar out in the Genesee area on some of their properties. So we'll be at their stewardship committee meeting on the 20th. We're also looking to plant another round of trees in the Warner Valley area as well as the Greenville Park. So yeah, I just wanted to say thank you guys all for believing in our project and our initiatives. And you guys have been such a huge part of everything. I would love to, where we're talking about the Rebuild Paradise Foundation and the Campfire Collaborative over there. I would love to kind of see if the DFC did something similar, because it does take so many more years to recover than I think people realize. So very curious to see what happens, and just wanted to say thank you again.
Yeah, it's great. Well, thank you. And that's great news about the Legion and the rest of your other projects. So it's great. Thank you for sharing.
And come out to our free tree giveaway happening October 25th at the Spot. That'll be a fun event for everybody.
October 25th at the Spot. And what time is that, Michaela?
That will be from 10 to 2. So we'll start with vendors and signups and everything. The parade will start at 11, and then we'll have a tree giveaway to follow.
Great. Well, that sounds like fun. And there was a pet parade or something with it too, right?
Yeah, so that'll be at 11, the pet parade.
Oh.
Bring your pets in costumes and try to win some awesome prizes.
There you go. All right. What's not fun about that?
Yes, thank you.
All right. And with that, may I have a motion to adjourn today's meeting?
I move to adjourn today's meeting.
I'll
Thank
second
you.
it.
Thank you, Danny. And all in favor?
Aye.
Hi.
Any opposed? All right. Thank you all very much and have a nice evening.
Thanks.
Thanks, Patrick.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Bye, everyone.
Patrick. Appreciate you.
Have a good night.
Semper Fi.
Semper Fi.